I'm a technologist, Scott. It's what I've been doing my whole life. I believe in advancements in technology. And I think that, if we don't, someone else is going to anyway. And so that's kind of gives us the freedom to do what it is. But I don't know that we should. So there's this space that I think we're moving into from a technology where just because we can, I don't know that we should. And I think there are areas that we should, for sure. With any advancement in technology, there's going to be the good and the bad side of that both. And I think we're just dealing with something that is moving very rapidly. It's somewhat faster than our capability of keeping up with it, is my call prediction. And it scares me a little.
Technology has transformed how we live, work, and connect. And behind that change are visionary people with bold ideas. Welcome to the Bridgecast, where host Scott Kinka explores hybrid work, AI, and our evolving future with tech's brightest minds. Presented by Bridgepoint Technologies, the nation's leading tech advisory firm. Experience a better way. The Bridgepoint way.
Hybrid work is set to be the new norm. We know that. We are in our new normal. But the tech landscape is evolving behind it faster than ever to meet these new demands. Today's guest stands at the forefront of helping organizations navigate this shift, ensuring their technology investments align with business goals while optimizing for cost, speed, and scalability. Mike Pereira is the Executive Vice President of Technology at Bridgepoint Technologies, a leader in tech advisory and procurement solutions, and also, as you know, the sponsor of the show. With over a decade of experience, actually multiple decades of experience in both sales and engineering, Mike plays a pivotal role in helping enterprises simplify their technology stacks and maximize ROI. His approach to tech procurement goes beyond just finding the right tools. It's about empowering businesses to make smarter, more informed decisions that accelerate their journey to the future of work. Mike, welcome to the Bridgecast.
Thanks, Scott. Happy to be here. Appreciate you having me on. It's been too long, by the way.
How did the writing team deal with the intro? Okay.
Yeah, they did fine. Yeah, did you hire AI writers, or who did the work?
Potentially. Well,
okay,
you never know.
Well, if you didn't, you should have, or you will next time.
Mike, you got to tell our listeners something beyond the resume. Who's Mike when he's not strategizing tech solutions and leading teams?
That's a good question. I think for me, Scott, it's all about family. Honestly, been married to my wife for 22 years this year. We have 3 kids. My daughter's a junior at Colorado State. My son, Michael, will be a junior in high school, plays varsity basketball. I'm the assistant coach of his varsity basketball team, I'd never dreamed I'd be coaching a varsity basketball team. And then my son, Dylan's going into 8th grade. So, the majority of my time, if I'm not at work, it's on a basketball court, coaching, mentoring kids, from 5th grade through high school. If I'm not on a basketball court, I'm either in a gym with my son trying to help him put on some muscle. I inherited the home I grew up in, so I've been remodeling a 1900 Victorian home, the home I grew up in when my dad passed, which is a labor of love and I guess probably a healing process. And then recently also restoring a 1973 Bronco, which was my stepfather of 45 years when he passed. And then when I'm not working at work or on a court or in a gym or at a house, I'm, mountain bike riding, jet skiing, snowboarding, out doing something. And, I try to fill, I guess, every minute of my day with something enjoyable, because I feel like time is valuable, Scott. That's how I look at it. Time is valuable. And I've, firsthand learned that in so many ways the hard way. But yeah, that's me. And if you ask anyone I work with, they kind of know, because I'm a little bit of an open book.
No, totally. Mike, I get that. And I had the pleasure of working with Mike every day for our listeners. And I've been begging him to do this show, and he's been avoiding me like the plague. So I'm pinning him down for this one. Mike, you have a long history of simplifying tech procurement and implementation for enterprises. And obviously that's changed, where we work, how we work, the expectations of work, the expectation of the timing of work, at a macro level. And it feels like we're still talking about this and it's years later, but we still deal with it every day, right? Like, how is this evolution really impacting the technology needs of businesses? You're in conversations every day. What's at the forefront of the conversation?
Probably, like you said, I think 30 years maybe roughly in this industry. And, when I started here, I feel like it was almost 13 years ago. The majority of our customers, still data is still at the center of the universe, I'll say, right? That hasn't changed. We've been working on large data centers, mid-sized enterprise, large data center environments for all my entire career, all the interconnection to all the data center environments. That hasn't changed. If anything, it's only grown exponentially. Like data is still at the center of the universe, and no matter how you look at it, and how people connect to it has always been key. We're just connected to it in so many more ways. We're leveraging the data in so many more ways than we had in the past. So that piece has changed. And then I think the other major change when I started here, I was the first of my kind, which is in so many ways, Scott, I believe the first of my kind in our industry. All of our, we'll say, people that maybe our competitors didn't have a group of engineers or technologists in the company. When I came to Bridgepoint, I was the first of my kind, and trying to be an expert in everything, even then, was impossible. Try to be an expert in everything now, it is absolutely impossible. And so what's changed so much is that, now I'm blessed to be surrounded by a group of people on my team who, quite frankly, are much more knowledgeable than I am in their, technology expertise. And I learn a ton from them every day. Quite frankly, I learn a ton from our customers every day and our suppliers every day. So I think as much as many things are still the same, technology changes at such a rapid pace. Like if you don't have a large team around you who is, touching the technology on a day-to-day basis with customers, suppliers, projects, you're going to fall behind. It just is what it is. Right. And so what I've learned is I feel like I know less than I knew 30 years ago, because things have changed so much, but I have to rely on the people on my team, support our customers, and, learn from them, because there's not enough time in a day to be an expert in everything.
Yeah. I mean, Mike, is that why, in your mind, you feel like just the concept of tech advisory is growing so rapidly? Like the average IT leader in business couldn't possibly be knowledgeable about everything that they need to solve on a day-to-day basis, and they don't always. And the people that they might be leading on their teams have a day job, right? From a kind of a procurement perspective, is that the value of the advisor in your mind?
I think 100%. I think, if you think about where you make investments in your business, you're going to make investments in certain technology, and then you're going to make major investments in people. I kind of see it, right? I feel like the investments in people are the more important in so many ways, the harder investments to make. Technology you're going to purchase, you can change it, it changes. I think when I think about how people leverage my group, I look at my team as an extension of our customers' teams of people. So yes, it's technology focused, but I'm leveraging a team of experts who have done something in the past, to help me make that better technology choice. And the more technology changes, the more you see that. I think when I started here, percentage in the industry, the number of suppliers in our ecosystem, it was a tenth of what it is today, maybe, right? So now every day, I think we're putting 20 new people in every month, probably 20 new suppliers in the portfolio, different verticals and different software segments are leveraging our channel for distribution because they see the value in what we do. And when I relate that to the value for a customer, and I'll pull back to the joke of, I'm remodeling my dad's house. Okay. So I'm pretty good at a lot of things. I'm doing the plumbing, I'm doing the electrical, I'm doing the sheetrock, I'm doing the framing, concrete, you name it, right? I watch YouTube videos, I read all kinds of stuff. I'm about to remodel the bathroom, I'm looking at how to do plumbing, I watch all these videos, I consume all this information. I've done it before 3 or 4 years ago, but not every day. And when I get to the point where I have a plan, I still pick up the phone and I call my buddy Tom, who's a journeyman plumber, been doing it for 30 years, and say, hey, Tom, here's what I think I'm going to do. Here's my plan. What didn't I think of, right? And what should I be thinking of? I call the expert. So despite all the data that's out there and all the research I've done and all my background, and I've done this a couple times in my lifetime, I still want to, I'll call it phone the friend. You've wrong what show that was on years ago. I'd still phone a friend to say, is what I'm planning on doing the right decision? Because you do this every day and I do it a couple times every year or something, right? So I think that's the challenge our customers are in is they're making changes, maybe every few years. We see customers do these changes every day. So I think no matter where you are, what your experience is, that ability to call it phone a friend, phone someone you trust, we do it every day. All of us do it every day, so I think that's what.
Like you're taking those inbound calls and look, to be clear, for those who don't know our organization, like if Mike's getting tapped in, maybe it's a particularly hard problem where a particularly large customer or what have you, as he said, he's got a team of engineers who are working with our strategists in the field. But I think this is an interesting straw man, Mike, because you get an interesting cross section of problems that you see, right? What's dominating? And we don't need to we can take each one individually, but what's dominating the meetings and the conversations that you're having with CIOs today?
I mean, it's a little all over the place depending on the vertical, Scott. So what I find every conversation centered around security and AI. But I mean, I'll put those two out there in general. Like you can't get on a call with someone who isn't looking at how are we going to leverage AI in the business? How do we, enrich our security program? That's every conversation. So I think that's a common thread. But you do see things in certain verticals that, what their business outcome or what they're trying to achieve is also, common. So when you look in the healthcare space and people are saying, how do I improve patient experience? Kind of as a general statement. And then the ways they're going to improve patient experience are all going to be very similar. So, because we've worked with a bunch of people in that segment, we'll look at how other companies have done it, what technology they've leveraged, and we'll help other customers kind of implement the same thing. You look at the financial space, similar things. How do I give better advice? How do I, understand what's being said within my organization? How do I, create efficiencies within my organization? How do I leverage the data I have to make better data decisions? So I think those are the big ones. I think most, just in a general sense, I kind of take it back to the data. We are creating more data than we ever have in our lifetimes. We're storing more data, or we need to secure that data. We want to leverage the data for making better decisions to create efficiencies in our business. How do you do that? I think that's the question, right? Like the big general question is, how do I do that? Where's the low hanging fruit? Like, how do I do it easily? How do I get that off the market this year versus a 3-year project? I think that's the biggest. If you center every little conversation, everything that happens, it's all around that, right? How do I grow the business?
Mike, I've found over many years of meeting with clients that, we would meet with IT leaders and there'd be a very specific technology focused project we're working on, right? Go do a thing that has a thing, connect this to that, whatever those things are. And you just described a very different conversation, right? That was more outcomes based. All right. And let me ask a question. Are you helping extract that, or has the IT leader changed? Meaning, are we more focused as an industry on outcomes today, or are they still coming at us with technology problems that we, when we meet with customers, are trying to fit to a business purpose? Like, what leads today, and where are we in terms of our maturity and understanding the use cases in the business?
It's both, Scott. It depends on where in the organization you're talking, how high up in the company you're talking, where in the life cycle of a project they're involving you. For example, talking to a large AI company, trying to interconnect their data centers that are not well connected to the cloud, just in general, right? They already know what they want to do. They have a plan. They just are asking us to help them execute it. And they're saying, hey, we need big connectivity between these locations. Help us get it because it's time consuming. It's not what we do. We're an AI company, right? We need to interconnect. So in some cases, the project's already very mature. They already know what they want to do. And they're involving us because they don't have a team of experts in that space and the tool sets that we have and experience. And they're just trying to say, hey, help me make this happen faster. We know what we want to do. On the flip side, if you get involved in, hey, here's what our 2026 roadmap looks like, and we're putting that together at the end of 2025. We want to look at that next year. We're going to implement these large projects. And someone comes to us and they're going through that roadmap with us. At that point of a project, it's more business outcomes, right? Here's what the business is trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
Where can we leverage technology partners to make these things happen easier? Because I can't hire fast enough. I can't train fast enough to keep up with the change the business wants to make. So I have to partner, I think is how I look at it. So it's both. And I think it just depends on where we get introduced into the project lifecycle.
Now that makes perfect sense. I'm going to hone in on some technology. You mentioned a couple, and I might grab another couple of categories. And I'm completely off script, so you're probably right now already annoyed that you scratched down notes in the notes I gave you. And I'm kidding.
Perfectly
So
fine.
I want to hit you. I knew we were just going to start riffing, which is great. You mentioned AI. We can train this for the next hour. Let's train it for the next 60 seconds. Like, do IT leaders, I'm going to ask you that same question, but specific to AI. Are we in the, hey, go get me some AI boat still? Or not really knowing what that is? Or have we gotten to a point where, IT leaders have done the work to kind of build some use cases around which they can generate an AI project of some kind?
It's both still. I feel like every time you ask me a question, it's not one or the other, it's both. And I think that's
Oh, yeah, well, that's fine. That's a perfectly fine answer.
it actually just tells you the variance of where people are, right? So like, I'll give you the example. Everyone should be using AI companion or a co-pilot or something that's doing summarization, meeting notes, task generation, because it's just so much better than doing it yourself and typing stuff down and trying to follow up on stuff. So like if you're not doing that already, you should have already been doing that. And many companies aren't, right? So like many companies aren't even there yet. And in that scenario, you're already consuming a platform, whether it's, a Microsoft or a Zoom or, the millions of partners that are out there. You're already on a platform that provides those capabilities. They make it easy for you to consume. They can show you how to use it, but the adoption rate's just super low still, right? And I think
Yeah.
in so many ways, those are the most useful tools like that you can deploy right now, right? And if you're not doing it, you should just go do it. Like invest money, invest in training, go reach out to your current supplier partners that have that embedded, talk to us. How do we use it? Let's go. And so I think that's happening and that should be happening. And there's no excuse for people not to be doing it, honestly. I mean, I think the biggest excuse people have, and it's valid, is like, I'm worried about what's going to happen, all that data that's being generated.
All that data.
It's secure. Who's going to read it? Where is it going to get stored? And that's all valid. Those are all valid arguments. But by the way, those are all easy problems to solve, I think, in my mind, right? Go get a partner, help you kind of segment the data, figure out some policy around it. So that's happening. And then on the other side, it's kind of like, I need to build something within my business that's fairly custom to do repeatable, scalable tasks that don't need to be done by someone anymore, right? And that technology is very easy to consume now, but it's the same question: is how do I consume it in a compliant, secure way that is going to be acceptable to my customers? And, if you think, to me, it's, compliance is transitory, I think, as you look at it. So like if you're doing businesses with healthcare or government entities, you have to apply to, they're going to want to know what you're doing with all that data. How are you doing it? Where are you storing it? How's it segmented? How do you ensure that? How do you prove that to me? So I think those things are a little harder, right? So, it's both, Scott. It's some people have identified projects and they're moving forward. Other people are afraid to get started. And I think the message that I'll have out there is like, make a decision and move forward with something, and quite frankly, multiple somethings, because you're going to fall behind very rapidly if you don't. And the value, the risk reward, I know there's always a little risk, but I think the reward outpaces the risk in certain areas already. Like I said, if you rely on a platform that already has some of that stuff in there, I think the risk is much lower when you're kind of potentially building organically and you don't have the experience in it. I think the risk can be very high. So find areas in the business that are low risk and high value and move forward. Like, stop talking about it. Start working on it.
No, great advice. Let's jump over to security for a moment. Because again, you're having conversations with customers every day. I'm going to ask almost the same question. So maybe it's a short answer because you've sort of answered it. But, are we in the, hey, I need a point solution for this portion of my already well-developed front-to-end stack? Or, hey, I've kind of done some stuff and I got to start at the top with a net new plan and kind of work my way all the way down. You're going to say the answers both, which is totally fine. but like speak to each one of those use cases. What do you see them?
Yeah, you're right. I'm going to say the answer is both and everything in between. If you're a small company, I have an IT manager, a small IT staff. Don't pretend to be a security expert. Like it just, and I would say leverage an MSSP partner, be an open book with them. It's, I look at some of this stuff in what we do, Scott, as a strategy advisory firm. I look at it like almost like you're a lawyer. The more open and honest you are about what your situation is, the better they're going to be able to represent you. Right. And I mean, that's a weird analogy to make, but it's the same thing. So I'm a small business. If you can just accept that, hey, I don't have the expertise. This is changing too fast. I don't have the time. We don't necessarily have the budget to hire the people I think I need to. Hire a company that's all they do, and be smart about that. Leverage once again, to leverage a partner with us. We vet these people. We know they perform well for other people, but leverage a partner to kind of help you implement, manage, security, continue grow your security program every year. Put compliance and guidelines around it, right? Hire somebody. And there is plenty of companies doing that. And I think that is the right decision. On the flip side, we work with Fortune 50 companies, Scott, Fortune 1 companies. They have more security people on staff than we have as employees. So a lot of times we may be talking to them and they're very specific about, here's the current technology that we consumed. There's a gap in what we're doing in this one area that we want to, and maybe it's not, usually those companies, it's not one area. They have like 5 or 6 things that they're trying to do every year that are constantly making their security, program more robust. We are trying to fill these gaps. What partners or technology do you know that's in this space that can do that well? And so once again, it's both. A good example there, API security from an example, like more of the applications that we consume these days are SaaS-based applications, communicating via APIs. You go out to almost any mature business out there, large business, they're going to have, whether it's, publicly consumed SaaS applications or applications they built themselves, they're all web-based, communicate via APIs. They have overseas programmers writing code. Who's making sure that's all secure and tested? And as an example, not to be negative, CrowdStrike had a major incident, whatever it was this last year. Like, could that have been avoided, right? In general. And that huge company, right? By the way, phenomenal company, but stuff happens. So, constantly improving that posture, even in the largest organizations, is never going to end. And I think AI makes it way harder. Like effectively, I hate going back to the same one because it's just such this buzzword, but I'll still just take it back to data because I think at the root of it, it's people connecting to data and how do I use it. And, that's been going on my whole career. But I think what's happened on that front is that if you're not responsibly deploying this technology for your employees, they're deploying it without you on the side, and you don't even know. So I think that, and by the way, that's true about every technology, right? If you don't empower your people to get with the tools to make them better at their jobs and more efficient, the ones that want to be better and more efficient are going to find the technology without you, and they're going to do it outside your approval, outside your consent, and it's happening, and you don't even know what's happening.
Think about there too is that, if you're in this go get some AI scenario, like supporting your champions does 2 things, right? One, it protects you in a situation where, right now ChatGPT is the #1 shadow IT application of all time. Like literally, as long as that's being tracked, right? But the second thing is, that's the place to find the use cases. Like they're using it to try and solve something in the business that you and IT might not know, right? That front line is going to have all the ideas. They're just trying to chop more wood every day. God bless them. You know what I mean? So let me transition for 1 minute. I'm gonna have one more little hot take technology area.
Hey, before you go, there's just before you go there, just, in that scenario, right now, if you go into like a call center scenario, we will ingest a month's recordings, evaluate them, and look at those things and say, where can we apply AI to your process through like call recordings, listen to your call center to provide a better experience, better call flow, automate some of this stuff, right? So like now think about taking that same logic and ingesting all the chat GPT stuff that's been going on the side in your organization that you don't even know about and going, okay, like using the, what do you call it? Crowdsourcing. I'm going to crowdsource what all of our employees have been doing without me knowing so that I can give them back something that is, within the framework of my company, like endorsed, right? What an idea. Like I just, once again, like there's a service that we need to deploy that service tomorrow, right? How do I ingest all the rogue AI chat GPT things happening in use cases so that we can, make them official?
Totally. Support your champions. I love that.
Sorry to take you off.
Let's make this one a quick one. No, you're good. I love it. Let's make this one a quick one because I know some of the deals that you've worked on. I've worked on some of them with you. It feels like 5 years removed from the pandemic. Maybe we're tired of having the remote work conversation, but somehow it seems like we can't get out of it. We've added collaboration platforms on top of PBXs, on top of legacy PBXs, on top of hosted solutions. The numbers would still tell you that while we're recovering a little bit, end users are still in 3-4 applications a day with that, islands of information, different levels of consistency. How often when you're meeting with clients, are they still grappling with, what's the one tool, one ring to rule them all inside my business? Can you help me rationalize this? Is that still an everyday conversation for you?
And are you more talking like phone collaboration meetings tools, Scott? Is that the ask? Probably 50% of people that are looking to consume that technology, next generation technology, whether it's moving to prem to cloud or whatever it may be, I'd say half of them have a company policy that they're going to go in a certain route, right? And, in most cases, it's Microsoft Teams, just quite frankly. They've adopted this tool, and the other half is, has multiple tools, right? So like, and there isn't a real corporate endorsement been made. Now, just because I say that, it doesn't mean that Microsoft is the telephony tool of choice. It just means that like, we've made the decision that internally, this is our internal collaboration tool, and that's not changing. We want to consider whether it is our, public facing communication tool for everything. That's probably more than half the organizations are having that conversation. Well, the interesting thing is that I'd say the vast majority of them don't end up with that being the single tool. And I think it's not mature enough yet in all of its features, functionalities for people for it to meet every use case, for every customer. It does, though, in my mind, meet a large majority of the population. And I'll just take a great example because, on a call, massive customer yesterday, thousands of I'll call them not small retail, but large retail locations around the world, tons of physical devices out there still in these retail locations, a butcher, a deli, take a sense of what maybe retail that might be. But there's also this massive, back office employees that all use Teams. So things have changed, but there's still a massive need for physical handsets in certain areas. So I think that's still out there. I think the biggest change there is no different than what we're doing now. When you're making that change in your technology, you have to go do an audit of like who's still using it. So like more people, I honestly, how many phone calls do I make in a day, Scott? Not many. And I say just because I'm on a meeting every hour on the hour all day, and it's meetings all day, and it's not as many phone calls. And I think that's very true about most of the world, right?
No, it's a good one. It's a good one. All right, let's rapid fire. And because I committed to keep this under an hour of total record time. And we're at like the 31st minute. We could go forever. I'm going to do a weekly episode with you so we can get all these ideas out. Let's fire on these. So first off, I need a shameless prediction. Be bold. One trend, one thing that's going to happen. You can pick who's going to win the Super Bowl. I don't care what it is. Something in the next 12 to 18 months.
Whether it's 12 or 18 months, I don't know, but I'm this is it right here, Scott. I don't think this is surprising, but it's embarrassing that I carry a brick in my backpack when I travel still. Laptops. Like cell phone device to mobile device, and it's come so far in our lifetime. It still hasn't come far enough. So like I don't know why. Like it can't be too long until the laptop's unnecessary. The mobile device is doing everything. And I don't know if that's, Iron Man, I'm pulling screens up out of my visual on my glasses. Or I don't know how that's going to be solved entirely. I'd love to sit here and say I had the answer, but I think it'll be driven on the device that's in my pocket, not the laptop. And so I think the endpoint, you could have backed up and said, well, virtual desktops take some of that. I mean, they've taken some of it, but not really, so, but the more it's SaaS based, the more it's application based, the more AI is doing more stuff for us, the more power is on the chipset that we're using, like carrying around a brick in my backpack. It feels 30 years like I did it 30 years ago. Why? Honestly, have you been carrying a laptop for 30 years, Scott? You have been, right? And you probably roll around with an iPad, which is a smaller version of a laptop.
Yeah, I'm working up an iPad for a couple of years now, but I'm with you. And by the way, what made that functional is the format that made it feel like it was a lighter laptop. So like at the end of the day, we haven't changed the input methodology. We haven't. So I'm totally with you. All right. Well, and we can do 3 episodes on what we think that might be, but that's a good hot take. We'll come back and check that. I need give me something controversial, belief you hold. Maybe it's in AI, maybe it's in security that you believe strongly that maybe others would push back on. Something controversial we can throw out there.
I don't know that anyone's going to disagree or agree. Doesn't really matter. Like, should we? Should we be doing what we're doing? I'm a technologist, Scott. It's what I've been doing my whole life. I believe in advancements in technology. And I think that, if we don't, someone else is going to anyway. And so that's kind of it gives us the freedom to do what it is. But like, I don't know that we should. So there's this space that I think we're moving into from a technology where I don't know that we should. Just because we can, I don't know that we should. And I think there are areas that we should, for sure. But I think I think with any advancement in technology, there's going to be the good and the bad side of that both. And I think we're just dealing with something that it's moving very rapidly. It's faster than our capability of keeping up with it, is my prediction. And it scares me a little from all aspects, right? I have a kid in college, kid in high school trying to figure out what they're going to do for a living, right? And you go back to like, okay, well, how many, whether it's, jobs, how many jobs may or may not be replaced by, AI technology? And I think the answer is some will be and new jobs will be created. That's always been true, right? It's always been true. Some will go and new jobs will be created. But I think there's just something different about this one. And I'll give you the sense of it too. Another shameless prediction, not that you asked. Power. Like the amount of power that we're consuming deploying this technology, we're going to be in a power crisis, Scott. Like, I just think that I really do believe there is we need to, like, hey, should we be drilling? Yeah, probably. Solar, sure. Hydroelectric, sure. I mean, we probably need to do all of it, right? We need to do everything because I don't think there's going to be enough power to support the technology that's coming and the people that are coming, right? So like, if you think about like commodity, like what's the most valuable commodity right now? Like, what's the most power probably? Like in general, like,
yeah.
Isn't that crazy to think? Like, it's not food, it's not water, it's not shelter, it's power, right? And, look at the amount of money being invested in the AI technology that's power hungry driven. Like, it's incredible. It really is incredible. And it's a little scary.
Well, I mean, I've read an article, I don't remember the specific numbers, but it effectively said something to like, we can't power us acting cordially with AI. Like we're so used to saying please and thank you, and it doesn't even bother. It takes time processing to not answer, right? Because we want to be conversant with Siri, or we want to be.
Yeah.
So it's at 100%. That's a whole other episode too. Like I said, I'm going to hit you every week.
That's right.
I'm going to hit you every week going forward. Now, okay. What are you reading? What are you listening to? You said not to say what's on the nightstand, so we'll leave it alone. But like, if you have a moment to read or listen, what is it?
I mean, it's honestly, Scott, it's I'm usually going through things that are coming from my team. So new technology, new suppliers, things they found. And that's, feels like a full-time job related to work. And if it's not related to work, I watch a lot of basketball videos, scouting out teams. We're playing a team next week. I'm watching all the games, figuring out how we're gonna win. So I watch a lot of high school basketball. It's gonna go. I know. Once again, back to the personal. It's gonna go by fast. My daughter's in college. She's gone. My son's gonna be through it anytime. I'm gonna look back and go like, I wish it was still here. I think. So like I think from a non-technology place. I mean, you'll laugh at me as I say this. We're in Chicago at our tech advisory meeting. My son had his last summer league basketball game. I missed it. It happens. I can't be everywhere. That's why I'm not the head coach. I'm an assistant coach because I can't always be there. I call home. I ask how did the game go, and I get mixed reviews from my wife and my son, and and then I'm like, well, I can't even comment because I haven't watched video. God bless the video streaming. I go jump up on YouTube. One of the dads records every game. I watch the game. It's 1 a.m. in Chicago. This is just, last week. I watched the game in its entirety, rewinding lots of segments, taking all kinds of notes. I call my son back at 1:30 in the morning. It's 11:30 his time. I know he's still up. And I tell him, you played so phenomenal. I'm so proud of you. I know that you didn't get the minutes you wanted. And he was frustrated because he's new on the varsity team and he's not starting 5. And last year he's starting 5. So he's a little frustrated. I'm like, but I can just tell you, I watched and the effort that you put out there, the execution, I'm like, you were phenomenal. And what's funny about Scott is that he went from being upset when I talked to him at 10, where it was like his own perspective of how things went, to he was thankful and super happy at 1:30 in the morning. It was 11:30 his time. And I think the reason that he was that way is because he knows I ain't going to lie to him. Because when he doesn't play well, I tell him. And when I think he plays well, I tell him. So he knows it's real. Once again, I know you weren't asking me. I talked 5 minutes about basketball, but
no, listen, you always spend time, and I appreciate that about you, talking about your kids. It shows what kind of man you are. And by the way, if I didn't want to get this last question in, that would have been a perfect spot to end, but we're like running up against it. So I'm going to hit you with this last question because I have to ask you. End of the world app, man, whatever that is. One app still working on your phone. What is it?
By the way, the second thing that I don't know that
you're going to say watching basketball videos on YouTube. I think I already know the answer.
Is this a good idea to be staring at all day or not? That's the other good and bad two sides of it. And I don't even use this on a day-to-day basis for the record. But if you're telling me it's the end of the world, it's FaceTime. I want to talk to my kids. I want to see their face, Scott. I want to see their face, right? Like,
we can leave that.
If it's really the end of the world, if you ask me like the most useful app, maybe that's not the one. But if it's the end of the world, I just want to be able to tell the people I love them. I want to tell the people I love them.
Nothing more needs to be said. I'm going to stop right there. Mike, if people want to learn more about Bridgepoint, get in touch with you or your team, what would you recommend that they do?
Yeah, I mean, hit me up on LinkedIn. Email is pretty predictable. I bet you anyone on here could guess it. Send me an email. It can't be too hard to find my number. Reach out to us, right? Hit us up on our website. We're open for business. Love to talk to people. Love talking technology. Love talking like suppliers that are out there, problems to solve. We love solving problems. I'm a problem solver. It's when I talk about basketball video. Why? Because I'm trying to solve a problem. I'm looking at it. How do I solve a problem? There's a problem in front of us. How do I solve it? Like solving problems, Scott. That's all. Give us a call.
Mike, appreciate that. If you need some help, let Mike solve your problem. It's fantastic. Great episode. Mike, thank you for your time. And that is a wrap on this episode of the Bridgecast. If today's conversation gave you something to think about, make sure you hit subscribe, leave us a review, or share it with your team. We will catch you another time on another episode of the Bridgecast. Thanks for joining us. Listen, if you made it this far, there must have been some good content, or you're just a fan or a relative of mine. In either case, we appreciate you spending your most valuable asset with us, your time. We don't take that lightly. We'd also like to say one more time that we're appreciative of Bridgepoint Technologies and their belief and sponsorship of this show. We hope that if you or someone you know is thinking about your company's digital transformation, or simply the next IT project that you may not have the resources, budget, or time to get to, I'm sure that Bridgepoint, one of the country's fastest growing technology advisory and procurement firms, can help. Check out bridgepointtechnologies.com. Don't forget the E on Bridgepoint, or simply reach out to me at Skinka, SKINKA, at bpt3.net. Also take a minute, please, if you would, to give us a 5-star review on your favorite platform. It helps give us the visibility to reach other people like you. Thanks for listening to this episode of The Bridge. I'm Scott Kinka, and until next time, there's a lot of noise out there in business and in life. Do what you can to be the signal. Thanks.